So let's move to our today's session. Give me some background information. This is speaking module, and in this module, we have discussed various things. In the first week, we have discussed basic structure of this test. After that, we have in the next week of Monday class, we usually discuss new topic on Monday class, and rest of the week we do practice. And in one week, we also discuss band descriptors, which are marking um, four different marking criterias and how our exam is marked, so that we need to make sure which thing we need to focus while speaking. Exam is not just about your speaking, it involves many other things like your pronunciation, how you are using grammatical range. And in one of the and before Eid holidays, we focus 2 weeks on fluency and coherence, where we discuss some strategies which can help us to avoid filler words, because filler words are the one which are affecting our fluency. And in the last week, we discussed about pronunciation marking criteria and how we can bring clarity, which can improve our score. So this week, when one of the participants asked the person in the last week, like how we can bring grammatical range while speaking. So this is not the case in speaking, it also helps you in the writing. So how many people say we need to bring grammatical range, but people don't know in one what contents we need to bring in while speaking. So how we can speak variety of sentences, we will discuss about. As we know, grammatical range and accuracy is one of the four marking criteria. While we're speaking, we need to make sure we are speaking accurately, like we're not making any mistakes like subject word agreement, any possession mistake like his or her, any past present mistake, like sometimes we're discussing about past and we're using present form. Sometimes we are not using ed and we are using, but our pronunciation is not clear, so listener is unable to understand. That sometimes might be examiner felt the same. Sometimes we say the word recalled, but our pronunciation is not clear, so listener or examiner will just get the word recall instead of past form. So we need to make sure. So we have discussed pronunciation last week. We are going to talk about grammatical and range and accuracy. So as I discussed, we don't need to make subject verb agreement mistake. Subject verb agreement mistake is what? Let me tell you. If you he he does cleaning. So I'm just giving the simple example of subject verb agreement before moving to our grammatical range. He does a house job. So let's see here. We're talking about he does a house job. So can anyone tell me this sentence is accurate or not? Anyone who would like to tell either this sentence is accurate or not?
Sorry, ma'am, which sentence are you talking about?
He does a house job. Is this sentence accurate or not in terms of grammatical accuracy?
It seems correct.
All right. Anyone else?
I think he does a housing job. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Anyone else who would like to give their own opinion?
It's a grammatical, it's correct.
All right. So I have one more question. What change I make in this sentence which make this sentence in terms of subject or verb agreement wrong? By the way, anyone has idea what is subject or verb agreement?
Ma'am, if you explain, it would be good.
All right. I'm taking this example because I'm going to explain subject verb agreement. This sentence is grammatical correct, but if I say he do a job. This sentence is incorrect in terms of subject verb agreement. Subject, this is a subject, this is a verb. So verb should agree with subject. How? If we know that if a subject is singular, like if we talk about present tense, if a subject is singular, it's mean we need to use a singular verb. What is singular verb? If we talk about present, s या es, either s, yeah, or es. So this is a singular. If I adding es or s, we do it is a singular verb and subject is singular. So do is plural. So when I use helping verbs of present indefinite, helping verbs are present definite. Do and does. Do is used for plural subject while does is used for singular subject. So this subject is singular, so I need to use does, not do. So when I am using do, it's mean I'm making a subject verb agreement mistake. Sometimes we say she were walking. So we can't say she were walking. She is a singular and we should use was. So this is basically subject verb agreement mistake. We need to make sure while speaking we're correctly using form of verb. Sometimes we even writing we make this graph tells. Now we will use s with verb because graph is singular. But when we use these graphs, we will use tell without s because subject is plural and what is plural verb without s. I hope so you all got this idea. So this is how we can bring accuracy. If anyone has idea about this, you may ask the question. Otherwise, we can move to grammatical range part. If no one understand, then you can ask the question. Otherwise, we can move to our further topic. All right, if no one has question, let's move. What is grammatical range? And which is necessary not only in speaking but as well as writing. So there are different ways we can bring grammatical range. I will today discuss about one. If time lapse, then we will just do one exercise at the end, which can make you how your answer are good by bringing grammatical variety like range as well as lexical resource. So let's talk about. We need to use different type of sentence structures. One example is comparative structure where we compare things like I like watching movies more than watching TV. So this is a comparative sentence. I like to go park rather than a gym in my free time. So you can say this is also a comparative sentence. What is comparative structures? When we are making comparisons between two things, two event, two person, it can be anything. Sometimes persons even in the speaking message ask, do you think this technology use has been increased in the present compared to the past? So this is a comparative person. So we need to compare different things to answer this question. So these structure will help you. So this is one way more than this is ask about your what do you do, your personal preferences. But when we are asked the same question in part 3, then we need to compare the thing how things were like in the past without technology and now these are with technology and how they are affecting in terms of negative or positive. So these things like when the question is comparative, we need to answer in a comparative way. We need to compare the things. So this is the one way we can use. I think banks as much to blame as governments on this issue. So this is not the one way we can use this phrase to bring comparison. This is another way as much. So they are saying, I think banks are as much to blame as government. What they are saying both are important. Like government, if we are blaming government for the issue, it means banks are all. We can also need to blame banks for this issue because both are playing their role in bringing this issue. So that's why I think banks are as much to blame as economists on this issue. So we need to use different type of comparative sentence. One case is that we are ask specific question and we need to use it. Another case is someone is asking, do you like watching this? So we can also use in that case, I like watching movies more than watching TV. So there are different ways. Another way is various conditional structures. So sometimes conditional questions are asked like possibilities where there exist, like what can be the effect of these things if this happens. This is a condition. If technology use will increase in the future, then what will be negative consequences of this? So this is a condition. If this happens, then this consequence will occur. So what is the question? If we breathe too much carbon dioxide, we will increasingly find breathing difficult. So definitely, if we breathe too much carbon dioxide, what will happen? We will increasingly find breathing difficult. Why? If because we are absorbing oxygen and outing the carbon dioxide, and this is what which plants absorb. And if we are breathing too much, it means we will find breathing difficult if they are not enough senior. So this is a condition. If I won the lottery, I would buy a big apartment. This is dependent on why. If you are able to buy a lottery, then you will buy a big apartment. Let's say, take an example. Mm, if I will get the good grade in second year, then I would be able to get a admission in top university. So this is dependent on, like, if you will get the good score in qualify, then you will be able to get the admission in top university. So these are the conditions. And sometimes these questions can also be asked, like I have done. Sometimes they are asking about future occurrence if these things happen. Like if the part three question are related to games, and they are asking children are, like, many questions are related to present and past, and then they will ask the what will happen if game use become double in the future. So you can use these conditional sentences, like if this happen, what will happen if children are constantly using and increasing their use while playing games. They will become addicted to it, which have negative consequences. There are many different ways in which we can talk about conditional structures. So let's take another range. What are the other way we can talk about different bring grammatical range, like variety in our sentences? So modal verbs, we can also use modal verbs. The economy has to be more open. I think has is not a modal verb. I don't know why they use this word. I will check this. This is let's look into the second example. Many people think we should be doing much more for the environment. We should be doing. This is something talking about necessary. We should do something more for environment. Sometimes we use we can do this. Can is also an example of a model verb. So this is the one way to bring grammatical range in terms of sentences. So by using different things, um, we can bring $10. She might not be able to attend a meeting. So sometimes questions ask in the question, like, do you attend meetings and gatherings, like special events? So you can say, I attend these events frequently. This is a simple. If you are not doing these things frequently, somehow you can, I might attend sometimes, but not uh, every time when I am invited. So I might attend sometimes in the past. I might attended some events in the past. So this is how we're talking about possibilities. So sometimes we're talking about things are necessary, like should. Sometimes we're talking about possibilities, like can you do it? Is it possible to solve this problem? We can solve this problem. So sometimes question are talking about different problem and solution in different ways. So you can use these modern ones, like we can solve this problem, but we need these things. We might not be able to solve in the near future, but in the long run, like, we need to take several measures if we want to solve these problems. So this is the one way we can use, like if we ask about possibilities, like these possibilities can be about solving a problem. These possibilities can be asking about something if you are doing necessarily, like we should do. So let's take an example. This is related to in the part three. many people think we should be doing more for the environment, so this is necessary. Like if there are many environment related issues, then we should solve it, we should take measures. So sometimes the questions are asked related to taking steps, so we're using this word usually in the part 3. We should take measures. Government should implement some laws. Government must take some action. So these are all the model words. And sometimes we're giving our opinion to take certain steps in different questions in the perspective of government. We are bringing government. So in that way, we can say government must government must implement some rules to avoid this environment issue. Like um, government can implement some laws to avoid crime in our society. So you can say there are different ways. So we need to use when they are asked in that way. Let's talk about another. In grammatical range, these are, you can say, comparative structures, various conditions, model work, and one we talk about tenses in terms of tenses. So we not only used to talk about, you will might understand better if we will done one exercise. I will make sure we can get some time. My country has developed skills in managing sensitive diplomatic relations. So this is uh, has developed a present perfect tense. So you don't need to talk when you're doing that. I will do this future. I will do this future. I will do this. Try to bring. I'm hoping to do this in the future. I will do this. If you're talking, I will do shopping in the future. I will study in the future. So these are two. You're using future tense, future indefinite tense. So you need to bring variety. I will do shopping. I'm hoping to start my degree in the next year. So this is also one way to say future possibilities. So you can say my country has developed skills in managing sensitive diplomatic relations. I have been learning English for 2 years. So this is talk about uh, since past to present. We had never thought about pollution until reports were released recently. So you can say this is never thought. This is have been present perfect, past perfect. So these are the different way. One, I'm hoping to get a degree in the near future. I will get the degree in the next one. So how we can bring variety. Sometimes we talk about we went to cinema. I have never went to cinema, so you can say these are the bringing. This is the range in terms of tenses. Different ways of talking about the future. I'm moving to Australia next year, so one is I will move to Australia next year. I'm moving to Australia. You can say this is the one way. I'm going to the cinema tomorrow night. So we usually talk about future, but you can say how these are using present things and talk about the future. I will probably quit work in a few years. So you can say this. There are two different ways to talk about future. One is I'm moving to Australia next year. So sometimes when we listen, we got confused why people are doing this while they are talking about future, even they are not doing so. These are the ways to talk about future. So one thing I want to, I think let's move to the next type. So let's move. Another way is using passive tenses where we are more giving emphasis on actions rather than persons. So the movie was directed by a first timer. These buildings are being designed by American architects. So here we're not focusing on person. So in tenses, we normally using the who is doing. I am moving. I am going. I will probably. But in passive tenses, we are more focusing on actions rather than who is doing. Some movie was directed by the first time. So you can also use passive tenses in your speaking as well as writing. These buildings are being designed by American architects. So this is one way to bring grammatical range. So what is the these are the different ways, and we all are familiar with all these things we're using like comparative structures. I'm just giving the broader perspective how you can use all these things and in which context these are most suitable. So Like in part one, when the graph and pie charts in writing task one are asked, you use comparative structure there to compare different bar graphs. Like bar graph, there are different categories. Sometimes we do pie charts table. So this is where we can use. Same is the case in speaking. So we are familiar when we talk about condition, then we talk about model verbs, then we talk about perfect tenses, and then different ways. When we are speaking, we are more focusing on like present, but we are not giving more emphasis on perfect tenses. We need to use it in while speaking. But also, most people are using past and definite, present, continuous, but we are not much using perfect tenses. So we also need to use it in terms of present as well as past. So I have been is a present, has developed present, while had is past. So different ways of talking about the future. We also discuss how we can use passive tenses when we are more focusing on actions rather than the person who is doing. So another thing is the complex structure. So complex structure is not about a long sentence. It is about combining two simple sentence with conjunction. Conjunctions are the word we use to combine two words. So just beside the station was a stadium, which was used to which was built in the 19th century and where games are now held every weekend. So you can see that how complex sentence is made here. So just beside the station was a stadium which was built in the 19th century, and where games, what is happening there? Like which was built in the 19th century. When it was built in 19th century, where games are now held, what is going there? Games are held now every weekend. So you can say how the complex sentence, you can say that just there was a stadium, it was built in 19th century. Games are now held. So these are the three simple sentences, but we make a complex sentence by combining all these sentences. So this is all about. I hope so. You got the idea how we can use different sentence structures, like bring grammatical range when we talk about grammatical range and accuracy. When we go to the band scriptures, let me put the link. When you will notice band descriptor, you will notice the grammatical range and accuracy, one of the marking criteria. And when we talk about grammatical range, these are the different ways. Last thing I want to say, some person in part three of us ask you to speculate about the future. So be prepared to use various future tenses. So in many cases, we're asked what will happen in the future, what should we can do, what we can do to avoid this issue, what measures we need to take, what measure government need to take, what role audience can play. So you can say these are the mixture of persons. So be prepared to speak about it. Don't use I will do, government will do, don't government do. So you can say should, must. If we're talking about possibilities, we can bring variety, should, must. If we're talking about future, I'm going to this, like government will do this, this can be done in the future. So you can say this is also one way, this can be done in the near future. So this is also another way. So there are the different ways in which we can bring a different variety of sentence structures in our speaking. So Sir Abdul Ahtari is saying I am new. Yes, we are. This is one of the four modules, and we're focusing on speaking module in this course. So every we're doing usually practice. Sometimes we discuss important topics here, particularly in the Monday class. And today we're discussing about how we can bring grammatical range beside being accurate, because it also give help us to achieve a higher score. Apart from that, we're doing a practice, and probably we will start our practice again tomorrow. But today I will discuss some important things. I hope so you got this idea, but to elaborate further complex structures, I'm going to go through with this article. It will help you. Let's start from the beginning, and then if time left, we will do one exercise which help us to differentiate between good and bad answers. If anyone has question related to this topic, you can ask it. Otherwise, we can move to complex structures topic. You can unmute yourself and can ask the question. From these structures which I have explained, if no one has a question, then I can move. How? Okay, I hope so. You know how you can talk about future sentences, how you can talk about possibilities, because we are already using these things. How you can talk about comparative structure, but sometimes people face difficulty while making complex sentences. Both are necessary in speaking and writing. So that's why I am going to a range of grammatical structures including both simple and complex sentences. So that's why I'm going to talk about complex sentences topic today. So simple sentences contain one complete thought. They have one or more objects. So like what is a complex sentence? Simple sentences contain one complete thought. They have one or more subjects and one or more verbs. So grammar books call these independent clauses. So when we are talking about Ali and As it is are going to school. So these are two subjects, but the sentence is simple. So sometimes we have more than one subject, like Ali, Eman, and Esan are going to school. So these are the simple sentence, but they have more than one subject. So these happen in simple. But when we talk about complex sentences, how they look, what is the complex sentence? You can say the clause. You can say clause is one simple sentence. So if we are using two simple sentences in sentence, sometimes one is dependent on another. Like what it means, I will explain with an example. Just get the basic idea. I will discuss what is independent clause and one is dependent clause. You just uh, mm, familiar yourself. Complex sentence are made by two different simple sentences, and which we are called naming independent and dependent. Why we are naming this, I will describe it soon. A dependent clause is a group of words that contain a subject and verb but doesn't make sense on its own. Instead, it relies on the independent clause to show a complete idea. The dependent clause adds more information to the sentence, but it can't stand alone as a sentence. I think you will better understand with an example. So let me. He ate his dinner. So this is the independent clause because this sentence is not depending on anyone. So we call it a independent. If in the sentence there are two simple sentence and they are joined, so then we can say that one is dependent in and second is independent. The dependent one will not convey the meaning unless you study the independent class, another class. So dependent class is if you want to understand the idea of that point, you need to look into another simple sentence which is combined in that sentence because it is dependent also. That's why you can't get the meaning. But if we talk about independent class, it is conveying the complete meaning. You don't need to uh, uh, read the different sentence. Let's look into this example as well. Just beside the station was a stadium where games are now held everywhere. This is the unnecessary information. And if you don't look into like which was built in the 19th century, you can still get the idea after reading these two sentences. So this is just additional information. You can say, let's take an example. What is dependent or independent class here? He ate his dinner before he went to cinema. So he ate his dinner. This is one class. He went to the cinema. So these are two simple sentences, but they are joined like complex with this before word. So he ate his dinner. This is the complete sentence, and it is conveying the meaning. You don't need to rely to another sentence. Before he went to cinema, he ate his dinner. So this is not giving the complete meaning in this sentence. Before he went to cinema, he ate his dinner. This is the independent clause because this sentence is giving the complete meaning. You don't need to rely. But when we're looking before he went to cinema part, what he done before he going, so we need something else information, like what someone done before going to the cinema. So this is the clause, but this is dependent because without getting this information, independent clause, we can't know about the first class. So I hope so. This clears you the difference between why independent and dependent class is necessary. Dependent is you can't understand the meaning of that simple sentence without notice the another class. While independent, if you read this one, it is clear he ate his dinner. But if before he went to cinema, we need to clear what someone done before, because when we are using these words, it means someone has done before or after. Let's say after boiling the water, I put some egg into it. So I put some egg into it. It is a complete, like it's an independent clause. I'm giving the meaning. But when I say after boiling the egg, it is not giving the meaning. It means something is going to happen next. So we need to sure. So this is how dependent and independent clause necessary. But we can okay, who said, sir, can you explain what you are not getting? I'm just saying, I can take simple some example. Let's say this is a two sentence. I'm just okay. Someone said I'm not getting. Let me say the simple thing. Complex sentence is made by two simple sentences, but sometimes one simple sentence is dependent to another. Like sometimes one sentence is dependent, one is independent. Independent means we can get the sentence if we skip the remaining part of the sentence. But if we not skip the remaining part of the sentence, dependent clause means we will not get the idea. Let's say because it was raining, we stay inside. So because it was raining, it is dependent because as I mentioned, because it was raining. Something say why this not happened because it was raining. So this is a dependent clause. You will not get the information unless you read this sentence, which is independent. If I say we stayed inside, it is giving the information like it is independent sentence. It is independent clause. Like we don't need to depend on other part of the sentences to get the answers. So this is that's why it is called independent. But when we say because it was raining, then what happened? We stay inside. So this was the dependent one, and we need to get the information of this second sentence. So this is basically, and you will yourself notice that when you are talking about because when you're doing writing tasks, so you will notice that you are talking about you are giving topics and then you are talking about the reasons why this is happening, because these reasons are basically dependent clauses for the previous sentences which you are given, like talking about main topics. So these are the things which we are already using reasons. And even we are writing task process diagram, we're using we boil the water before putting egg into it. So you are already doing these things even the writing task. So I'm just making, you can say that there are some certain rules we can use these sentence. So let's talk about how to make complex and our dependent class. So we need to use two simple sentences, and we need to join these one, like he ate his dinner before. As I given to he, you can say that he ate his dinner, then he went to cinema. So these are the two simple sentences I made. But if I want to make in one complex, and I will say he ate his dinner before he went to cinema. So we are using what he done before going to a cinema. So this is the dependent clause. We don't know what's if I will hide this part, you will not understand this part. This is a dependent because you are not going to understand the meaning of this if I will not, if I am not showing this area, then you will not understand what someone done before going to cinema, because this is dependent. So that's why it is called dependent clause. So if I skip he ate his dinner, if I skip before part, then you will definitely understand because this is independent class, and independent class is always stand alone and you can understand the meaning. But the second part, like second simple sentence, is understandable if it is dependent clause. Like if its meaning is dependent on the previous. Like you can say before he went to cinema, what he has done, he ate dinner. So if someone say if I say I ate if I say I ate my dinner, it's mean you will understand my sentence because it's a standalone. But if I say before going to the park, uh, now you will understand what I am doing. Before I went to the park, I didn't complete the sentence. You will got confused what I have done. You are thinking about what is going to come next. So I need to say before going to the park, I ate my lunch. So this is basically two sentences, but if two simple sentences, but one simple sentence is within the complex sentence is giving the meaning without relying on another, it means it is independent. And if one simple sentence is unable to give the complete context, then it is a dependent because you need to rely on another part of the simple sentence. I hope so it get. But what are the words which we are joining to them? These are the basically conjunctive words. Before he went to cinema, he ate his dinner. So before is the word dependent. Basically, we are using these words. You can say these are the conjunction because these join two simple sentences, two clauses. So that's why we call conjunctions. So one thing I need to explain. Okay, if dependent clause come first, put a comma between the two clauses. Okay, अगर independent if independent clause is coming first and then you don't need to if independent clause is coming first, then you need to put the comma. Like he ate his dinner before he went to cinema. So here we don't need to put the comma. But if dependent clause come first, put a comma. If independent is coming first, then we don't need to we need to before he went to the cinema. If the independent clause come first, you don't need to include a comma. What is, you can say he ate his dinner. This is an independent clause and it is coming first, so we don't need to put comma. But if dependent clause comes first like this, before he went to cinema, then we need to put comma. Let me explain one example of this. I am writing here. You are using a writing task one and you are saying after boiling water, after boiling water, this is a sentence. After boiling water, I put I put eggs in it. So you will say that I put this comma here. You know, because after boiling water, this is can't complain because this is a dependent. What I have done after boiling water, you will note I put eggs. What I say, I put an egg once the water is boiled. But I'm not, if I say I put an I did not put an egg before boiling the water. So I did not put egg, yeah, unless water is boiled. So I am using these things after, but because I am using independent class before, so here I will not put. If I take this information later on, I will, what I am going to say, I will put an eggs once water is boiled. If I write the same sentence, I put an egg, it will stay the same. And when I will, once the water is boiled. So here I am not going to put comma. Why? These are the same things which you need to also do in the um, writing task one when you are describing about um, processes once water is boiled. What is happening here? Independent clause come first. After water is boiled, I can say, I think this is not a complete simple sentence. After boiling water, you can say after water is boiled, we can say that after water is boiled, I put egg into it. So what will happen? This is the dependent clause, and I need to use because it is coming first. Put a comma. Once the water is boiled, I put an egg into it. So I need to use comma because it is coming first. But if it is coming later on, dependent clause, and in I put eggs into water. So this is the complete information. This is the independent class, and then dependent class is coming. So you don't need to put comma here if dependent class is coming at the end. If dependent class is coming at the first, then you need to put a comma between these two. I hope so you got the information. If a dependent sentence is coming first, you need to put a comma. If independent sentence is coming first, then you don't need to include a comma between two uh, complex simple sentences. Like you can say the one complex sentence. So let's move. Okay, dependent clause. Acha, if a sentence has one dependent and independent clause, so we use subordinating conjunction, which we call depending conjunction, because we have an independent clause. So that's why we want to join these sentence with linking words like before, even though, if, unless, because, whereas, when. So you can say that. So you can say these are basically conjunction which are used to join different simple sentences. No, you can say they are different type, and we are if you're doing the writing file, you are automatically using these things. Sometimes we even don't know these are the complex sentence. Transport instead of driving. Let me. This is not a thing. We had to take a taxi because we missed the bus. So you can say we had to. Acha, can anybody tell which one is dependent and which one is independent sentence in this sentence? Anyone who would like to add?
Ma'am, here because we missed the bus is dependent sentence.
Yeah, exactly. Because we don't know why we miss the. We're telling the reason, but we don't know on which reason we miss a bus. Both are simple sentences, but this later information is depending on the previous one. If someone says we missed the bus, we will ask why you missed the bus. You know. So this is the dependent, and the first one is we had to take a taxi. If someone say we had to take a taxi, would you ask the second question? No, because this is the independent information. So you can say this is the independent class because we don't need further information to understand it. But this is dependent, and from on which sentence it is dependent on this one. So that's why we call it dependent because we can't get the information. So this is the cause and effect. Like if you miss the bus, then what this is the reason, and what effect will happen. Then you need to book a taxi or use other mode of transport. I hope so. And we use because since as these were as I missed the bus, we had to take a taxi. Since I missed the bus, I had to take a taxi. So you can say these are the words we can use to describe about cars and bikes. If it helps in both part in speaking and writing to use these words. Although tourism boosts local economies, it can lead to environmental damage. So you can say it can lead to environmental damage is independent. Although tourism boosts local economies, so this is dependent because tourism boosts local economy. These are the contradictory information. You know, when we use although word, but however, these are the contradictory information. It means we're talking about one positive and one negative. One thing will be opposite of other. You can see we are saying that although tourism boosts local economies, it can lead to environmental damage. So here is a one mistake what people make. People are also using also and also using but at the same time, but it can lead to. Although can be used here, although can be used later on, but don't use but and although. Some people what they do, although tourism boosts local economies, but it can lead to environmental. So but is incorrect here, and many people do this even in the writing. So be avoid when you are using this word, you don't need to use but in the after the commas when the next class will start. So this is a contrast, and when we use although word even though whereas while tourism boosts, it can lead to environmental damage. So this is one way we can use. If this is the conditional sentence which I have discussed today in this, you can also use conditional sentences. If more people use public transport instead of driving, air quality could improve. So we are talking about consequences. What will happen if someone if we will use public transport? It means what will happen in quality of air will be improved. So we're talking about certain relying on certain conditions. So if you will more people use public transport instead of driving, air quality could improve. So some even the question can be asked like why we're preferring to use driving. So then we can use what will happen if we are preferring public transport. It means there will not be exhaust fumes there, so definitely air quality will be better. We can use like if unless as long as provided that in case. So these are you can say if more people in case more people use public transport, air quality could be improved. So you can say we can use air quality could improve in case many people use public transport. So this is another way to use range, grammatical range. We will go for a walk as soon as the rain stops. So you can so this is independent, this is dependent. As soon as the rain stops, so we can see before after once until when while you can say we will go for a walk when the rain stops. We can also use this word here, so you can say that. So we need how we can use it. We need to practice combining them. We need to be very sentence structure I have discussed in this article here. Then we need to check because when we're using we need to have 5 minutes at the end of writing so that we can check our mistakes. Because when we're using complex sentence, we're making punctuation and conjunction error and subject verb agreement error. So we need to make sure about this, like which was we. So we will need to show either we're going to use what or where. If there will be a stadium, then we will use which were built in the 90s. We will use what instead of was. So make sure a subject verb agreement mistake here. So let's take a quiz. While training offers the chance to experience new culture, it can be expensive. What is the problem here? They didn't put the comma because this is the you can find the answer at the end of the quiz. Can you correct? Okay, anyone tell me what is the mistake in question number 1?
I think there is a comma missing here before it can be expensive.
Yeah, let's see what will happen. You can borrow the car unless you anyone tell what is the mistake here. Since the company were flexible, let's see what are the answers for this one. While training offers the chance to explore new culture, it can be expensive. Explain when a sentence begins with a subordinate conjunction, like dependent add a comma between. So if the this is dependent whilst you will notice that you need to talk about contradicting information on the other side, and this is depending on. So this one is missing here as Sir was right. So you can borrow the car. You return it with a what was the problem? Unless mean if not. So we are already talking about we can only use it in this sentence if we change it to negative situation. For example, you can't borrow card unless you return it. So unless is already negative, so we can't use here because you can borrow the card if not you return. We can't say if not you return. So that's what there are other alternatives. The services basket, even though we can say that we don't need to use the comma here, like I talk about the service was put when we use like egg was put into the water once it is boiled, so we can't use here comma here. Example correction, so we don't need to use comma here. Example correction, since the company provide flexible, what is the problem here? When a subordinating conjunction is used in the middle of the sentence, we don't need, okay, when we are using in the middle, we don't need a comma. Here we can see what is problem with this example. Since the company provide flexible hours, staff are able to manage their personal commitments. The two classes need to be related, meaning no connection. Okay, we use two, but we need to make sure they are two related. But we say coherence in terms of if we talk about one, say we need to relate them. Like we need to bring uniformity. Like we need to relate to them, so they are not related. Since the company provide flexible hours, staff are able to manage their personal commitments, so these are not related. What is the sentence? Let me see the example. You, you can see these sentences are not related. Since the company provides flexible staff uniform, flexible hours and uniform don't have any connection. So that's the problem here. But they made the connection here. Since the company provides flexible hours, staff are able to manage their personal commitments more effectively. Like someone gave you a 3 hours to work and instead of five, so you can fulfill your personal commitments like giving time to family, doing some other works for the remaining 2 hours. So no, these two are related. This is also called coherence. Also, the high questioning the view at the top made it worthwhile. The too many conditions removed, but as the word other. So you can say that I have mentioned that we can't use but at the same time with also. So you can say they use two one. High was challenging, but the view at the top made it worthwhile. I have already explained this word. I hope so you got this idea. I want to discuss about this article. I think we don't have much time. Okay, I want to discuss how you can bring. Okay, the same answer of the same question is here. We need to match them. Like how? Let's do the match. Anyone who would like to match the same answer is given of this question here. Like match a reply on the left. F and D. What is the example? One is with D. So let's one is matched with the, so you can say both are, I'm planning to take a degree in engineering, I'm due to start the course. You can say both are using, I think I will study engineering next year, I will decide after my exam. So both are the answer, but which one is better, one or D? Anyone will explain?
Ma'am, sorry, what's the question?
I say both, like F, one or D, both are the same answer. This is answered by one person, this is answered by one person, but which of the answer is better?
Ma'am, it's D or F.
Let me let me
Ma'am, I can't see F.
so let's say one.
Okay.
Both are the same answer. Let's say this is answered by one person, this is one. I will think which one is better.
Mm,
Sir, if you're saying I'm unable to hear you, can you say it again?
No, ma'am, I understand your question. I am just thinking what is the better question.
What is the better answer?
Oh, sorry. Answer, sorry. Ma'am, I
Let's
think D is the better answer because
and
it's
one.
because it is giving us more information what's going on.
I think I will study engineering next year. I will decide after my exam. I am planning to take a degree in the engineering. I am due to start the course in the summer. Both are the answer, but what is the difference between both of them is that they are using the same sentence again and again, but they have bring variety. I'm planning to. I'm due to start. the course in some next year. But they are also explaining better as well. This is the another factor. So both are the factor. Here is a continuous, here is just present. So bring a variety. They are just talking about future and simple sentences. So you can say that they are the better. Let's start. I spent a lot of time around children. I have got to. Which one is? I think what is a similar answer? I think this is not visible. This is will match with this sound, but let's do it. I like blue. I am really into green. What is the difference? I like blue. I often wear blue clothes like t-shirts, shorts, socks. What is the difference between in these two outfits? I'm really into green. I have got lots of green tops and accessories because people say it suits me. You can say that there are two different factors for describing about her. I think uh, time is finished. I think I will discuss this topic tomorrow. Which one is better in terms of grammatical range and lexical as well. So we'll discuss it. Let's discuss the one what they mentioned. The grammar to express which is more impressive than one example D to be planning and to be due to will is repeated. There are also some good vocab example take article. So I will discuss this article tomorrow. So we will do this exercise tomorrow and
Sure,
then we
ma'am.
will describe how we can bring variety like range and how it can help us, how we can remove repetitions. It's a good exercise to understand these things. If anyone have a question related to today's topic, the two articles which we have discussed, you may ask. Otherwise, we can continue tomorrow.
No, ma'am. No questions for now.
All right. Okay, and thanks for the participation. We will continue tomorrow. Let's call it a day.